Friends, this is Sri Hari, your host for today's show. We have an exciting show coming up. It will be with Vandana Shiva. We will be talking primarily about the farmers' issues, solutions, and what she has been doing. You all know that she is internationally popular in mainly farming issues, then also ecological issues, and also feminist activities. So, but today we'll primarily talk about the farmers' issues, especially in India, how various factors are impacting, and how what are the changes we'll be seeing in next couple of years. Because as you have heard earlier from our guests, P. Sainath and also Ramu, that in next 2 years, as we know, farming in India, it will completely change because of the entry of the global companies, and also to address primarily the current issues today. Talking about the issues here, you all know that there are about 250,000, more than 250,000 farmers committed suicide in India in the last about 16, 17 years. And P. Sainath has talked about it this touch, and also Ramu Garu, he mentioned about the solutions. You can listen to all those shows, previous shows. We also have a lot of shows on anti-corruption. So you can listen to all of them at NRISamay.com. You please go and visit. We have archives of all the recordings there. Then, folks, please, if you have an account in Facebook, go to facebook.com/NRISamay and like the page, so you will keep getting notifications as we have more shows. We are also on Twitter. It is twitter.com/NRISamay. NRISamay. So, folks, it's about time. In about 60 seconds, we'll have Vandana Shiva. If you have questions, if you want to talk to Vandana Shiva, you can call us into the show at 323-410-0162. So the number is 323-410-0162. You can also go to NRISamay, and you will see this number. And we also have a chat widget with our host, which is me. You can directly chat with me or one of our teammates here, and you can submit your questions and get feedback right away. So let's bring Vandana ji on board. It will be just a few more seconds. Okay. Hello, friends. Welcome back again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today we have the show with Vandana Shiva, as we have been announcing all day today. and she is with us now, right now, and we will be talking about the farmers' issues. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask directly, you can call into our studio, 323-410-0162. This is a US number. If you are anywhere else, you can always chat with our host at NRISamay.com. Without any more waiting, Vandana ji, welcome to our show today.
Thank you.
I know it's late night in India, around 9:30 p.m., and we appreciate you taking this time to talk to our audience. Madam Ji, to begin with, could you please, we'll be talking about the farmers' issues primarily. So, I know, and we had shows with P. Sainath and also with Ramanjanelu GV. He is from Center for Sustainable Agriculture earlier in this year.
Yeah.
So they were talking about a lot of issues, but from your perspective, if you have to put your finger onto a couple of things, primarily, and why farmers have so many problems today, agricultural-related problems, and why there are so many suicides, what would you say, Madam Ji?
Well, the first reason why there are suicides is because farmers have been pushed into debt. And the reason they are in debt is because when corporations take over agriculture, which is what has happened with globalization and the neoliberal policies, which were initiated under World Bank pressure in 91 and under WTO rules in 95, corporations want to sell expensive seeds, costly chemicals. That gets farmers into debt. But that same globalization process also creates new pressures of driving down the prices that farmers earn. So our calculations show that there's been a tenfold increase in cost of production and a reduction by 50 to 70% in what a farmer earns from what they produce. That is a recipe for suicide. Corporations make big money. That's what the rules of globalization were designed for, and farmers die. I had said this before farmers started to die. The WTO was a death knell to farmers. Today we have had 250,000 farm suicides. And unless you change that structure and those policies, the suicides will continue, which doesn't bother the elite. They want to see the farmers disappear. They want to see the land go into the hands of a few corporations and some giant landowners. For them, it's not a crisis. They are finding this as a very desirable thing that's happening, that the small, hard-working peasant of India is disappearing. For us, it's a tragedy. For us, it's the biggest genocide that's taking place in agriculture anywhere in the world through agricultural policies. Global initially, but perpetuated through partnership with national interests who are in the country but not really for the country. In particular, Monsanto is deeply implicated in these suicides because the suicides began in the cotton area. They still concentrated in the cotton belt, and the cotton is now totally owned and controlled by Monsanto, which walks away with royalties, and the farmers pay through their lives.
So you mentioned that globalization. So you were talking about not only issues in India, but you were saying other parts of the world also are facing similar issues. Can you put that into a perspective, Ji?
Yes, the disappearance of the farmer is a global problem. The disappearance of family farming in the U.S. is a very, very big issue. There are more people in the jails of the United States than on the farms of the United States. And Europe is losing their small farmers all the time. The tragedy is deeper in India. A, because we have more farmers. Two, because our farmers made a decent living, even with a 2-acre landholding. They could sustain themselves, even send their children to school and college. I know a farmer who committed suicide because he had to withdraw his daughter because of the debt from an engineering college. That means till then he was able to afford to send her to engineering college. And of course, it's even more tragic here because this should not be happening. This is a land where Gandhi has said we are a land of village republics, and the village should come first in our planning. So globally, there is definitely a crisis in farming and in food because only farmers produce food. Others produce junk. Industry can create genetically modified food. They can create chemically contaminated food. They can create junk food. They can create processed food. But real food only grows on farms with care. And that's why we are seeing a disappearance of food. We're seeing a disappearance of food for those who don't have access to food, including farmers who lose their livelihoods, as well as those who have access to food. And that very important film called Supersize Me shows what's going on. I mean, the obesity crisis, the crisis of hunger, and the crisis of farmer suicide are three faces of the same crisis of a globalized corporate agriculture.
Okay. So we talked about Monsanto and BT cotton. So I think most people like NGOs or agricultural activists, if we talk about this company, they obviously tell that this has a big role to play in how farmer suicide happen in India. But legally, why are they not being prosecuted? Or is there something that can be done?
Well, I have personally sued Monsanto many times over, including 2 days ago, for piracy of an Indian melon. Because for Monsanto, the objective is patenting. It so happens that genetic engineering is the first step to patenting. And that's why they push genetically modified seeds. They control 95 of the genetically modified seeds sold anywhere in the world. They control 95% of the cotton seed, which has now become genetically modified BT cotton. But they're now entering non-GM areas, and this melon they patented in Europe is a non-GM, non-transgenic melon. It's just through conventional breeding, and it has unique disease-resistant traits that are taken from Indian melon. I sued Monsanto in 97 when they entered India, totally illegally, not taking any permission from any regulatory authority, and they couldn't sell their BT cotton till 2002. Just at the end of last month, on the 31st of January, a court case was brought to a district court in New York. Navdanya, our movement, is one of the plaintiffs. There are 84 other plaintiffs, basically suing this company for the way they threaten farmers. An antitrust case is what is needed. The monopolies this country has taken on. I am launching a very, very big campaign on seed sovereignty, and we hope by the end of it we will have enough mobilization to be able to show the world that this company has become a threat to today's farmers and the future of food security for all. And I hope your listeners will write into you and you will write into us and volunteer to join this campaign and do work for it.
Excellent. I was going to ask how the listeners can contribute because now since you brought it up, could you please elaborate on the work that you are doing at Navdanya and people, Indians or whoever it is, who are living maybe in an urban areas or in US or in other countries, how we can remotely help with this cause?
Well, there are three big ways in which you can help. I think the first way is to be directly involved. If you're in India or if you're in any other country, I would say just join the movement wherever you are for seed sovereignty and food sovereignty, which in Hindi or Sanskrit, any of the Indian languages, translates into Bij Swaraj and Anna Swaraj. Each of you has to eat, so each of you should be concerned about the fact that food freedom and food democracy is disappearing. The second way in which you can get involved is join campaigns. As I mentioned, I'm going to be launching a very, very big seed campaign. Last year we did a very big campaign on genetic engineering to show that genetic engineering is not bringing gains. It's creating super weeds and super pests, and we did a report called The GMO Emperor Has No Clothes. It's available on Navdaniya's website. Now, the main thing Navdaniya does, and I started this 25 years ago. This is our 25th anniversary from when I started saving seeds, taking inspiration from Gandhi's spinning wheel. If Gandhi could pull out a spinning wheel and show the British that we could rule ourselves, I think we need to save our seeds and show Monsanto that we will govern ourselves, and we will protect biodiversity, we will protect future generations, and we will not allow the saving and sharing of seed to be turned into the crime. That has been the basis of Navdaniya's growth. It's based on the idea of bead satyagraha, like namak satyagraha, that we will not obey laws that turn our seed into Monsanto's intellectual property. It's a wrong law. It's an unjust law. The salt law was nothing compared to seed patenting. We save seeds. We help farmers go organic because farmers are getting into debt for chemicals and seeds. They don't have to. If they have their own seeds and you do organic farming, they're never in debt. Not a single organic farmer has committed suicide in India. That's a very good indicator. That's the way forward. And finally, because eventually farmers have to also sell part of their produce while eating in a nourishing way themselves, we help farmers build a direct marketing network, a fair trade network, and Navdaniya has built the largest network domestically of organic distribution. You can contribute to this. If you are not in India, you are making fat bucks somewhere. Your parents supported you. Probably many of your parents were farmers themselves. Remember them, remember their gift, remember the gift of this land and this country, and give back. And you can give back by contributing to our programs and our movement. And if you need to know more, write to me at vandanashiva.com. Or visit our website, find out more. The website is navdaniya.org. Another way you can contribute is by coming to attend courses. I've started a Beat Vidyapeeth largely to deal with these issues because most people have no idea what's going on. They don't know why farmers are committing suicide. They don't know why seed has disappeared. They can't understand why the food is suddenly no more tasty. Come and join us at Navdaniya. We've started a very beautiful ashram. And we say we grow about 1,000 kinds of crops, 600 varieties of rice, 100 varieties of wheat. Just come to remember how bountiful nature can be, and we don't have to destroy this bounty to kill our farmers and make super profits for a handful of companies.
Okay. Vandana ji, we have a caller who would like to ask the question.
Sure.
Anant, are you there?
Sir, I'm here. Dr. Shiva, I have been thank you for coming on the show this morning, and I'm really excited to ask you this question. I've been following this issue for a while now. Short of a revolution and putting these people's heads on a stake, I don't see any other way to stop Monsanto. I mean, with people like that, with people like Justice Clarence Thomas in their pocket, who actually worked for Monsanto in the past, and basically with the conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court, siding with Monsanto on every single case, and in the Supreme Court of Canada siding with Monsanto, and Monsanto having so much power that it could actually even influence the Indian Supreme Court. I don't know what else there is short of putting these people on stakes.
Well, I think there's not one thing, but many things that can be done and are being done. We have a case against Monsanto and antitrust in Andhra Pradesh. We've intervened in the case that Monsanto and other companies filed against the Andhra Pradesh government because Andhra Pradesh government wanted to fix the price of seed, and Monsanto said, you can't, this is our intellectual property, we have any freedom to exploit the farmers. And we are saying, no, you don't. And anyway, this is not your intellectual property. 11 states joined us to say no to Monsanto's BT brinjal. That was just a year ago. No one imagined that ordinary citizens could stop Monsanto's second crop from coming into India, and it would have been the first GM food crop. 2004, they've been trying to introduce a seed bill. The seed bill would make it illegal for farmers, basically, to have their own seed. It would destroy their seed freedom. We did a beet satyagraha. We've continued to do it. I've constantly briefed Parliament. Parliamentarians are now totally aware of this situation. From 2004 to 2012, every season, every parliamentary session, they try and introduce that bill, and they have not succeeded. And by now, the knowledge and information of this is so wide, I don't think they'll ever get there. Monsanto signed an agreement with Rajasthan government to basically take over the agricultural research and the genetic material. I did a Bij Yatra on Quit India Day, because in 98 I had started the movement Monsanto Quit India, and the pressure we built up was enough to force Rajasthan government to cancel that MOU. Monsanto is now trying to get into Nepal, and I have a colleague working there. We built up a movement, and we are getting Monsanto out of Nepal. When I started in 1987, these companies said that they would have taken over the seed by 2000. We are in 2012. They have largely 4 crops under their control, and they haven't made very much progress beyond 5 countries. So I actually don't think they're as powerful as we imagine them they are. We need to recognize our power, not be worried about how powerful they are. And when we recognize our power, each and every one of us, they will topple like a house of cards.
Okay, Madam Ji, you mentioned about, before this caller, you were talking about the organic or traditional farming. That obviously this needs, our farmers are accustomed to using the chemicals and the modern way of doing agriculture. But so what are the primary concerns to going back to the traditional farming or using their own seed?
Well, the first thing is, I don't call it going back. I call it going forward, because it is actually the most modern form of farming. The most modern form of farming is to know what's in your seed, to know where your seed comes from, to know how your soil works, and to know that the life in it, to know how pests get controlled, and to know what's in your food, because that's a knowledge-based system. What is called modern farming is actually based on not knowing anything. You don't know where the seed came from. You don't know if it will renew or not renew, which is why so many farmers get trapped, because they think they'll be able to plant the seed again, and it doesn't give them a pure seed. None of the scientists who are trained in soil science know anything about soil microorganisms. We have a lab at our farm where we teach farmers the living systems of the soil, the bacteria, the protozoa, the mycorrhizae, the fungi. None of that is even known in the so-called modern industrial agriculture. How do we move farmers beyond this bad period of chemical addiction and giving up their heads to think? The first is to let them experience the violence they're part of, because I find farmers are still very conscious of their dharma. And when they find they're killing earthworms, when they find they're killing soil organisms, when they see in a photograph the soil that is chemically fertilized as totally dead, and then they see the living organisms in a rich organic soil, they start to understand what is the right way to farm. But there are 2 other reasons that farmers should become organic, and those are 2 other reasons we use. The first is the whole issue of independence and freedom. Why should a farmer become a slave and then commit suicide when you can be free with your own seed and your own organic manure? And the final issue is an economic argument. We have done studies repeatedly since we started Navdanya. And two of our most important reports also available on Navdania's website. One is called Biodiversity-Based Farming, and the second is called Health Per Acre. And these reports show that when farming is based on diversity, it's mixed agriculture, it's based on rotations, it's based on organic methods, we actually produce more food, we produce higher nutrition, and we produce more incomes for farmers. Farmers can earn 2 to 3 times more by going organic. And they produce 2 to 5 times more by promoting biodiverse organic systems. Now, this is the way to go to solve the 3 problems that India faces. And these are huge, huge emergencies. The first is the 250,000 farm suicide. Not a single farmer needs to commit suicide if he or she is organic. The second crisis is the crisis of hunger and malnutrition. Half of India's children are severely malnourished. They're wasted and stunted. Every 4th Indian is hungry, and we have a report on the roots of that hunger. Farmers are going hungry because they're not allowed to have their land or grow their food. Children are going hungry because you're not thinking of nutrition. You're thinking of how to hand over your food system to a Pepsi, and then you give the PepsiCo chief a button of devotion for ripping the health of our children off. The entire food system of this country is under such severe threat. Healthy food is being replaced by junk food of the worst kind. And that is why we have a major, major campaign for zero hunger. And we know we can drive out hunger from this country. We can drive out suicides from this country. If the examples we set, at this point working with 500,000 farmers, but I believe this movement must grow and can grow. And we don't have to wait till the central government wakes up. 5 governments are already working with us. We're helping the government of Bhutan become 100% organic. I believe that if more and more people shift in their knowledge, in their awareness, and again, I'm sure most of your listeners are scientific. The science is on our side. The International Assessment of Agricultural Science and Technology says the only way to go into the future is ecological. The United Nations had a report last year to say we could double food production through ecological methods. So science is not on the side of industrial agriculture. It's on the side of organic farming.
Okay. One of the things you mentioned is actually educating the farmers. So we have millions of farmers, and our country is a big country. How do you or how are other organizations trying to reach all these farmers and create an awareness?
Yeah, we do it in a two-way process. One is, I've set up the school I mentioned, the School for Sustainability in Teaching in Organic Farming, and it has emerged as a center for excellence, and at any point of time, you will find 25 people from across the world who are coming to learn organic farming. Every month, we have at least 4 to 5 farmers groups from different parts of the country who are taught by scientists and by farmers. And then our team goes to different parts of the country when they're invited to help farmers change there. Now, for every one farmer who shifts and becomes better in what they're producing, how healthy their soil is, how healthy their crops are, and how they're getting out of debt, every time that happens, 10 other farmers shift. And that multiplier effect is what we have to increase and accelerate. Srihari, how much longer, because I need to be going.
Okay. Our show is for 30 more minutes, but if you have less time, we can definitely cut the program.
Yeah, but do persuade your listeners. This issue is too serious. The emergency is too deep. No one should be a bystander. Everyone should be a participant.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
So,
bye-bye.
Thank you, Vandana.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for Vandana ji for accommodating her schedule, even though she was busy. And you guys listened about the primary reasons for the issues in India. And we still have some callers, I think, waiting. And you can definitely call into our program. We still have about 30 more minutes. So we can continue our discussion, and any feedback that you guys have, I'll certainly make sure to give it back to Vandana ji and get answers if there are any questions. So folks, there are a couple of takeaways at least from this call today. And if you are just joining in, you can go to NRISamay.com and you can check back around 9:15 a.m. Pacific time, or that would be around 45 minutes more on NRISamay.com, and you will see the recording of this show. So if there are any callers or anybody who would like to discuss this issue, you can still call into the program. Vandana ji had to drop off, but we can still talk about it. So one of the things that Vandana ji was talking about is their work that they are doing. They have a research facility, then they have an educational system for the farmers and also for people like us who are almost disconnected from the farmers and agriculture-related issues. You can either go to navdanya.org, that's their website, N-A-V-D as in David, A-N-Y-A, navdanya.org, and you can connect Vandana ji from there, or you can leave a message on our Facebook page if you are interested. Then we can definitely connect with Vandana ji. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/NRISamay. Okay, we have a caller. His name is Milind. He would like to ask you a question. Anant, can you patch in Milind?
Srihari garu?
Yes, sir. Hello? Yeah,
yes, I will.
Do we have Milind on the call?
Milind actually dropped off, I think. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, Milind actually dropped off.
Okay, that's fine. I heard Srikant Garu also had a question. Maybe he can also join. Otherwise,
hello, Srihari Garu.
Srikant Garu, you are.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, we have been talking with P. Sainath Garu, we have been talking with Ramanjaneel Garu, now we spoke to Dr. Vandana Shiva Garu. If given an opportunity to all of these great people who are working on different fields, what is the first thing anybody would implement so that at least they could stop few farmers committing suicide? What, according to you, is a sense that, of course, not you, every one of us should get? What, according to all these people, is the first thing that they would look into, if at all they were given some kind of a power?
Yeah, I think the primary reason, the solution lies in the hands of farmers, first thing, which is farmers are seen as soft people, so everybody wants to, take a pie out of everything, take a piece out of the pie. Obviously, the big companies like Monsanto are exploiting the farmers across the world. But you also hear about stories like how Starbucks and other coffee companies manipulate with the coffee seed growers, and they can pretty much paralyze an entire country's production just by monopolizing and getting it from a different company, different part of the world. Suppose I was reading some article which said in Brazil, which is one of the biggest producers of coffee seed, all these big companies get coffee seed from there, like Starbucks. But when the farmers said, hey, we are not getting the price, good price, and then they demanded these companies. Then they said, okay, then nobody will buy from you, and they stopped buying from them, and they went to places like India and Sri Lanka, and all of a sudden the demand in India and Sri Lanka went up so high, and the farmers started growing coffee seed more and more. And once, in the meantime, the farmers in Brazil are screwed. I mean, nobody is buying their crop, and they're having hunger, suicides, and that kind of a bad situation. So once they came back with these companies and made a deal, now the companies abandoned the farmers in India and Sri Lanka, and they came back to Brazil. So the farmers there got screwed. So this is how big these companies are, how they can manipulate you. So that's. But if you look at a smaller scale, then you can also see that there are a lot of layers from the farmer to the consumer. Like one of the things Dr. JP and the LSP team that they are doing, and I think later this month is, they are saying why is there, farmers are getting, like, suppose if we take tomato or something, then farmers can get as low as 50 paisa or 1 rupee or 2 rupees per kg, but when it comes to the consumer, it's almost like 15 rupees or something. So there is like a 500-600% of increase from what farmers is getting and for what consumer is getting. So obviously there are a lot of layers in between who are also screwing the farmers. So for farmers I think for them to get their life better, I think they have to fight. I mean, they have to come out and coordinate and become like a unit, and then they have to fight against these big companies and the bad systems that we put in. And
which is really which is really tough, because that's the only one community that is dispersed, and then they work in remote villages. So it's highly improbable right now, as it looks like, for farmers to come together and then fight for their own rights. We see doctors coming together, we see unions fighting for their own rights, but never in the history farming community came together to fight for their own rights. And that's the only reason politics, this bad politics come into play, and then they're playing with the lives of these farmers.
Srihari garu,
Anant, please go ahead.
You were talking about tomato. This is not really connected to the Indian farmers per se, but I was actually listening to a show on NPR about how the tomato crop has actually changed in the U.S. Basically, most of the tomato here in the U.S. is produced in Florida, and the farmer really does not get any money, or it doesn't really matter. The farmer really does not get any money for producing a really good tasting tomato, but a good look, he is only paid to produce only a good looking tomato. So this actually ties into what Dr. Shiva was talking about, how the food is not tasting any good anymore. And most of this is, I'm actually afraid that this is actually going to start coming into India also. I'm really concerned about Monsanto having, so much power, at least here in the U.S. Dr. Shiva was talking about saying that Monsanto doesn't have that much power as we think it has, at least in India and, say, Nepal and South Asian countries. But I think we should, as team members of NRI Samay, we should start talking about this problem more than what we have talked about already. I know you have been very, very active in the farmers' issues, and I congratulate on you on that. But I think we should concentrate more on this issue in the coming future.
Yeah, our listeners should know that we also have a pretty big group which is actively working on the farmers' issues. Most of the group members are outside of India. So if anybody is interested, they can go to facebook.com/savefarmers, SAVEFARMERS, Save Farmers, and they can connect with the group and they can be part of it. Just leave a message there, and we will add you to the group, the team here, and then we regularly have calls. Suppose we have a call in the afternoon today. So that's one way you can connect. If you are specifically interested in what Vandana Shiva has been mentioning, you can go to their website, navdanya.org, or you can send us a message on facebook.com/NRISamay. We will definitely give your questions to Vandanaji.
And Srihari Garu, just to look into the highlights of what she's saying, I think we'll have to have a broader discussion on this. She's saying the cost of agricultural production increased tenfold in recent times. So which is like too insane, right? That means for a farmer, it's a heavy burden on his head. The cost of production has increased tenfold, and then you say that the guy who buys tomato from the farmer is just for 50 paisa. Then it's that itself depicts the horrible, pathetic state of a farmer, right?
Yes, sir, definitely, and that is a major issue. So part of it, as Vandanaji has been telling, is there is an option for farmers that they don't need to use these genetically engineered seeds, which are obviously adding up to the cost. Then also the pesticides and the chemicals that these big companies are. The price primarily comes. The cost of farming primarily comes from the seeds, then the chemicals, pesticides, and the labor. Labor is probably a very difficult thing right now because a lot of labor is pulled out of the farming. They are going either to urban areas or they are into the 100-day work guarantee program by the government, which doesn't include agriculture. So labor is expensive that way, but farmers have an option of not using these genetically engineered seeds and the chemicals, and use what is already given by the nature.
Right.
So that is what Ramanjanelu has been doing, which we had on our show a couple of weeks back, and we are also connecting with them. And if anybody would like their village, take up this non-expensive way of agricultural production, then you can definitely contact us, and we will put you through Ramanjanelu and his team.
Actually, you mentioned.
Milind is going to ask a question.
What is that?
Srihari Garu?
Yeah, answer.
Srihari Garu, Milind wants to ask a question.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, we don't have Vandana ji. She had to drop off a little earlier than what we scheduled for, but we can definitely discuss. Milind, are you on the call?
Yeah, I am on.
Okay, please go ahead. Milind, you want to ask a question or participate in the discussion?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Should
Okay,
I ask? Yeah. Thanks for taking my call, Sri.
Unfortunately, we don't have Vandana ji, but we can talk.
Yeah, that's no problem. I hope there are few more people listening or in the conversation.
Yeah, there are people listening. This is an online radio, so we don't know exactly how many are there until the show is over, and maybe after a day we get the report. But,
okay, all right, yeah. I know
some more people on the call itself.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my call. I know Vandana ji, I was there when she gave a lecture last year in April in New York. And I have kept the audio on my website, marathimanus.com, which I have created just for the seeds and environmental purposes. And we just raised $3,000 for Mr. Prakash Raghuvanshi, who also works with Vandana ji for his seed yatra. He's from Varanasi. He's a blind farmer. And we did that too. What my point was, the point which I wanted to make was, there is a need for information if we want to convince people regarding what is happening in India, because the companies which are doing this are doing it clandestinely by bribing topmost politicians and changing the government decisions and influencing the government decisions. So my point was, it's very important to get all this information, how over the years decisions have been made, people have been bribed, and how over the years these companies became the way they are today. Because people's memory is really very short, and there are so many distractions. Besides, the regular media is all bought off, and they don't publish anything regarding this. On top of that, there is general apathy. People just don't know about agriculture and all these issues. Even the educated people who are PhD and doctorates, they don't know about what is GM and what the problem is. So my point is, it's very important to compile this information of the working, how they did it over the years, day by day, and make it available to the people in their own languages. And if there are some listeners over here who are there, who have this kind of information, I would like to put it at least on my website in Marathi at how these decisions have been taken over the years, because things didn't happen overnight. They have been happening for the last 20 years or whatever. And there has to be some compilation, some timeline has to be put so that we can convince people that, this is how things happen and this is how we are at this stage. Because it's like boiling the water gradually. When the frog is sitting inside, the frog doesn't even realize that it's been cooked. I guess that's what is happening in India.
Milind, this is Srikant.
Yeah.
You brought in an excellent point as such. All the government decisions that has really made the matters worse here. I think that's a very fair point, saying that all the government decisions, all the official documents pertaining to all these decisions should be kept out in the open so that people will know that this is what is the result of the existing, when you hear to P. Sainath Garu saying that 25 million farmers committed suicide, or 2.56 lakh farmers, which is officially there on the government website, saying that 2.56 lakh have officially registered farmers who committed suicide, excluding women, because never a woman is considered a farmer, as he says. So, excluding women, and then I think cotton farmers are taken out of this loop. So you never know. It might be a 5 lakh people, which is like 50 million farmers who committed suicide as well. We never know. We don't want to put in some bloated figures here, but just I'm saying that the problem is intense, and as you said, the information should be kept out in the open, And last week, I don't know if this RTI anonymous friends who were there last week, they were in our show last week. IIT Kharagpur students, 20 years old, Ritesh Singh and Sangpriya Rahul, who started this RTI anonymous movement, sitting in IIT Kharagpur. So if somebody can really file some RTIs or something, that might be one route wherein we can get this information as to what it is. And we have other guests who earlier called into the show. They're fighting for Official Secrecy Act as well, which says that for any GO, let's imagine the government takes a decision saying, okay, this GO says that Monsanto is given the power to sell their products in this country. It's like a GO, which is basically giving monopoly to an organization or a company, right? So generally, we know is that a GO has been released with certain number. But then, for all the documents, the decision making pertaining to the GO is never ever released to general public. So nobody knows what went into the background, who has been bribed, who has been influencing the decision, how did this proposal come into picture. Nobody knows anything about that. So there's one person, Rajaram Boji, who's been a bureaucrat and a Konkan Railways MD, he's been fighting, saying that we'll have to really work on this Official Secrets Act, except defense. The bureaucrats should put out in the open to the public all the decision-making documents that has actually resulted in a GO or a bill. So that itself will curb corruption. That itself will curb corruption. All we are doing right now or talking right now is about Jan Lokpal bill. We are talking about many different bills, which is what should we do after corruption has happened. But he's saying for any document or a GO that comes out, there are documents, there are official procedures that went inside. If you put out that in the open, bureaucrat will be scared that, oh my goodness, if I do something, it'll come out in the open. So I don't want to do that, right?
Exactly. So, that's what my point was. Because see, the thing is that regarding cotton, as far as I remember, see, I'm here for last 10 years. But when all this started in India, especially the cotton, the first thing in India which happened to cotton was a fraud seeds. Seeds which do not grow.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way it started. Now, the thing is that the person who actually brought this cotton, GM cotton, was Mr. Balu.
Oh, T.R. Balu, is it?
Yeah, and Sharad Pawar grew on that. So whatever is Sharad Pawar doing, now he is growing on top of him. See, that's what it is. People just don't know the timeline. People don't know nothing. And, this information is all hidden from people. And see, the thing is that if you want to tell people what happened, you cannot just tell them, see, this what it is right now. You have to tell them this is how it happened over the years.
Right.
And that information. And your point is very valid too. I mean, I really understand that. Behind the government order, there are things behind that, and people be accessible to those things, because that's how the things are happening. See, these companies, they are not coming to you and me and millions of people and asking them whether they should do something. They are going to one person who is at the decision-making place, who is corrupt,
right,
like Sharad Pawar, and they are changing everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. That's the thing,
Yeah. So that to answer your question, I think some people, there are crusaders who are really working, and then these whistleblowers.
I guess our Anand Sharma ji is there too, I guess, with the RTI.
Yes. There you go. So these people with Anand Sharma ji, Ritesh, Sangpriya, right, these guys who are working on this can at least make certain things visible, so that they know what's going on. And as Srihari was mentioning, Milanji, he told that these genetically modified seeds are literally killing the farming community. It's a fair point, because... Go ahead.
See, they are. That is... No, what I'm saying is that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But the people... Yeah, go ahead.
And the fair point that adds to this is these genetically modified, generally you have a seed, you sow it, you have a plant, you reap it, and then you get the fruit or vegetable out of it, and then that vegetable will again have seeds which you can again sow in and then get the crop out of it. That's exactly how earlier the farming was growing. But no one realizes that these genetically modified seeds, once you sow in, you get the crop or you get the fruit or vegetable out, these seeds cannot be reused. Lot of the farming community doesn't realize that these genetically modified seeds cannot be reused, and these farmers are being forced to buy these seeds and fertilizers, which is high cost. So it's like he's incurring costs every cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, that's the problem. And all the avenues where you can educate the people and the farmers have been bought off. See, that is another problem, because all the newspapers, all the media, all television is completely in their hands, and they actually completely control them with the advertisement. They threaten these media outlets. They tell them that if you publish something against us, we will cut your advertisement. That's what is happening right now. It's a hegemony, and it's a terrorism. Actually, it is seed terrorism which has been happening.
Yeah.
I know newspapers in Vidarbha, some good newspapers, and the editor said, this is what is we are facing economic crunch because all these people with who have this power in their hand, they influence their other advertising agencies, and they tell them that don't give your advertisements to these people, to these newspapers.
Right.
And it's a terrorism which is going on.
Awesome point. Coconut water is far better than a Coke, but a coconut farmer or a coconut selling guy, he can't give an ad in NDTV. Only the guy who manufactures Coke can give an ad, right?
Oh yeah, that's another point. I mean, there are so many of these issues which are there, and I guess yeah.
Srihari, can you add something to this?
Yeah, that's a good point. He was talking about the advertisement, right? So recently there is an article in Andhra Pradesh that when Dr. Rajshekar Reddy late was in power, he was giving all the advertisements to Sakshi, which is also their newspaper, his son's newspaper. And they were giving free publicity for the newspaper by putting that in cricket stadiums and all. So,
wow.
We heard one side from Milind, the other side is they are favoring significantly of their own news channels. So that's a double-edge.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, for sure.
On the parallel side, as Dr. Vandana ji is doing, she's fighting at the battle for last so many years. I guess NRIs have a large agenda, and I guess one good step which you have taken is starting this radio. And I guess the bigger point over here is basically a media which is funded by the listeners. When I came to actually this country 10, 12 years ago, I first time came to know about the PBS, and and a public radio, and I never knew about this because in India we know only about the bad things in America. We don't know the good things in America, which is the public broadcasting service, and and a channel like C-SPAN. And I guess it's we can do something because we all know what the situation of the media in India, NDTV and Times of India. I mean, the less we talk about them is better.
Yeah,
so
fundamentally.
I guess it will be a very important thing with this battle, it will be a very supportive thing to think about creating an independent media, which you already have started this radio, yeah.
And Milanji, fundamentally, if you see, and I'm not talking about what kind of business model that they work in and what they do, but if you see technically in 1990s, early 1990s, and when this closed software movement was going on, where Microsoft, few Oracle who have been literally dominating the cloud with their closed structure, and then saying that, hey, I have a product, it's $3,000. If you want to take it, because this is the work it does, and this is the benefit that you reap out of it. Nobody knows what is there inside that. They give you a disk, and then in Boston there's an open source movement that started with Richard Stallman taking the lead and GNU coming into the picture. So when this closed structures, people talking about one segment of the reality, or people who are monopolizing their thought process and rubbing it on others' brain comes into picture, usually, normally, phenomenally, it happens that this software freedom or open media networks, they come into play in whatever way possible. And as you said, it's a very nice point. Community-based, citizen-based, listener-based networks should come into play and then take the lead role here and then bring out the realities in whatever way possible. You had a very nice point there. And fundamentally at NRI Samay, we believe that there are some burning issues, there are some burning problems, and one side of the story is not true. There's need and necessity for listeners and people, a common man who feels that there's something, there's another side of the story. So that's exactly how we at NRI Samay felt, and then we thought we'll have to do something for it, and that's how the idea of NRI Samay came into picture.
No, absolutely. I congratulate you people for this. Because as you can see, even these things happened in India, but you can see this happening in India in completely different way. India has so many radio stations because it was a revolution. It was this, what you can say, FM radio station.
Right.
Now FM radio station is such a powerful tool.
Okay.
But you know what has happened in India? The Indian government has banned politics or news and information on FM radio.
Oh, is it?
Yes, they don't give you license. So what FM radio stations do is they play those horrific Hindi songs. And they talk about Bollywood. Whose actor is sleeping with whom, and it is whose birthday, and whose cricketer is doing what.
Wow.
And day and night.
I want, this is Anant. Sorry, Melinda, I wanted to just jump in between and add one thing about what you were talking about, the news thing. You are right. FM radio is not allowed to talk about news or politics. News and politics and current affairs is a sole, only All India Radio can do it. Nobody else can do it.
See, that's what it is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, only All India Radio can only All India Radio can talk about news and politics. That's it. No, nobody else can talk about news and politics on FM, on radio. That has been there. Actually, FM. The FM radio is a fairly new phenomenon. 5, 6,
no,
maybe 7 years.
FM. No, sorry to say, FM is actually
private. The private FM radio has been only 5, 7 years, maybe 7, 8 years, maybe. There was no private FM radio channels before. FM was there. FM was there, but it was all government owned.
I have been listening in Bombay FM radio channel for at least 12 years.
Well,
this is like this is like news about news, right? I never knew that FM channels are not allowed to hear anything about politics or happening things in India? Wow.
Current affairs.
Only entertainment. Only entertainment.
And that's the reason why we don't have any talk show people in India. The way over here there are people who have their own radio station, like we all know all the Republican those guys. But but in India there is none, not a single person. Why? Because it is banned. Can you believe that?
Wow. Yeah, it is unbelievable. And then to the adding to this, to more about this farming sector. On the flip side, we have had interviews with P. Sainath, Palagumi Sainath. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are aware of it. And we had a show with Ramanjanelu GV, and now today we had a show with Vandana Shivaji. And then if I see the distinct points that they put into place, Dr. P. Sainath has been talking relentlessly about the failure of the government in really handling the farmers' issues. And then he has mentioned a couple of times about how these policies have literally made the lives miserable. And if you look into Ramanjanelu GV Garu's show, he has clearly told that the technology that we have incurred is not fitting into our farming needs. So the technology has not been tweaked according to our farming needs, and that is one big reason for farmers having a torrid time. That's what he mentioned about. And if we see Dr. Vandana Shivaji, she's talking about corporate companies literally killing the hope of farmers. So these three are really three distinct, very fair, very honest perspectives on what's going on in India right now. And Srihari Garu, if you have, because you've been interviewing all these three people, what's the sense you get when you talk to P. Sainath Garu? What's the sense you get when you talk to Raman GV Garu? And what's the sense you get when you talk to Vandana Shivaji?
There is a significant, I think, agreement among all these people. The one common thing has been that farmers are, especially these three people, that farmers are screwed by these big companies. That's the first thing. And second thing is the government policies, whatever the policies they are putting, the bio-regulatory several of these policies, but they are against the farming community. And the third thing is, I think it looks like the government or the big companies, they want more farmers to fail, basically drive them away from doing small sector farming and drive them into the corporate kind of farming which we have seen in US. That's been those are the commonalities. But on the other hand, we would like to, common people like us, we would like all these people, all these leaders, to come together and work on a common ground, especially when they are fighting against the government or when they are fighting against these big companies, and also when they are educating these farmers. Because Vandanaji has been telling that they are educating the farmers, but how many can they reach? How many do we have? Millions of farmers, and it's a big country, and how many can they reach? So that's a concern from a common man's point of view, or a common woman's point of view, that we would like to see it addressed.
Right. And to really wrap up on what she told, she has brought in some excellent points, like the cost of agricultural production increased tenfold in recent times. And agricultural policies by governments are the main reason for this farmer suicides. And she also mentioned issue of these farmers is a global crisis. You're talking about India, but she has also mentioned situations in Nepal. She has been talking about things happening around in other countries as far as farmers' issues are concerned. So she says farmers' issue is a global crisis. And she also told real food is grown in farms. All other food that you see in today's world is junk. That's a fair point. And in many countries, very good thing.
Like
and
said, it's
in many
global thing. Yeah, I just want to add to that global thing, global issue. Unfortunately, our politicians would like you to believe that, either Congress is trying to screw the farmers, or the TDP has tried to screw the farmers, or, it's a local issue. They want you to believe it's a local issue so they can get their votes in the next election. But we have to understand that it is a much broader. These global companies, they can go out to any part in the world and they can benefit from from those parts. So it's first understanding the problem that it's not, related to one district or one area of the state or one state or even one country. So there has to be more unified way of fighting.
Right. And she mentioned.
I would like
go ahead, Mel.
I guess that's a true point. But at the same time, when you're doing action, the action has to be local. And I guess that's where all the different languages come into picture. Because in India, you can see the kind of diversity of languages there. If you want to talk to a common farmer, you have to talk in his or her language, in India especially. And that's where, the local thing comes into picture. And that's where I guess all these people are basically failing somewhere, because all are English-speaking people. And
excellent point.
And they just are connecting with a very small, very minuscule population. And the rest of the entire India who doesn't speak English, they speak just their own regional languages. They just don't get any information about this. That's why this, even though this problem is global, the action has to be local, and local means in the local language.
Very good point. So language barrier is also one big reason why the information is not flowing into this
it is one of the
sector.
Problems. First of all, they have choked all the media, and on top of that, even if the media is available, whatever they are speaking in English. The way we are.
Very good point. So we have been compiling a list of all the problems that we see, and you've added a very new dimension to this. The information inflow to this farming sector should be in a localized language. Language has become a barrier. You have a very nice point here, Milind.
Thank you so much. Since I teach the language, I have been realizing it more and more for the last 7 years. It's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, and then the diversity that we have, you're absolutely right. It's not like you communicate in one language and then it flows in. You have to talk the local language of that specific area or district. Each district might vary with language, and culture. Yeah, you've gotten a very nice point. And again, coming back to other, just I'm summarizing what she has been talking about, Vandana Shivaji. She has told that in many countries, there are more farmers in jails than in farms. That is, that statement is really one of its kind that I've seen recently. In many countries, including the developed world, there are more farmers in jails than in farms. Yeah, that's you want to add something to that? Including the developed countries.
Yeah, I mean more.
I will add to
farmers,
that.
but
Actually, I think more people. She said more people in jail than in farms, rather than more farmers in jail. But I actually would like to add something. I mean, it's not only in India that the small farmers are being squeezed. Even here in countries like US and Canada, small farmers and marginal farmers are being squeezed by Monsanto. See, basically, most of the way that Monsanto squeezes these farmers is actually by actually trespassing onto their property and finding out that they actually have the GM seed. I think you guys might seen the ad for Roundup. Roundup was on TV. It's a weed killer. Roundup is actually manufactured by Monsanto. Most of the seeds, I think if you guys see this canola oil. Canola oil comes from a seed, the canola seed that actually they actually just have a GM seed for canola, which is actually resistant to Roundup. So what that means is Roundup, when it is sprayed, it actually kills the weed, but it doesn't kill the canola. It doesn't kill the canola crop. So I think you guys will be surprised and horrified if you actually come to know that even if I have a farm, if I have a Monsanto GM seed in my farm, and if Srikanth has a farm next to my farm, okay, which is separated by a road, and if Srikanth has his own organic seed, if by nature's providence the canola seed from my farm actually travels into Srikanth's farm, that is Srikanth's fault. Srikanth can be put in jail because because Monsanto found its seed on Srikanth's farm. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter that Srikanth never actually planted the seed on his own, but basically the wind blew the seed into his farm. It's his responsibility to take it out. If he doesn't take it out, then Monsanto can sue Srikanth, and he can be put in jail. That is, and can you believe that actually the Supreme Court of Canada and Supreme Court of US side with Monsanto rather than Srikanth, even though Srikanth really did not take the seed? Just because the wind blew the seed into Srikanth's farm, it's his fault. That is the kind of problems that the farmers face here, the marginal farmers face here in US. That's why I said what I said to Dr. Vandana Shivaji when I said, short of putting these people, killing this corporation and putting all these people on stakes, I don't see any other way.
Right. It's really tough. You have to combat such big people. It's really tough. I think you've gotten a very big point on how they're threatened as well, even without they having interfered with any of these things. As you said, if a wind blew the seed onto the other farm, that's really pathetic. I don't know. Srihari, you have anything to add to that?
Farmer?
Yeah, I think Srihari, are you there on the call?
Yes. I think he's here.
Yeah. Okay, and then, you want to add something, Srihari?
No, I was saying that we had a very good call and also the discussion after that. I think we should wrap it up in next couple of minutes. So
sure. Let me wrap up.
Go ahead and then.
Right. Let me wrap up on what we have the highlights here. And as we heard the show today, let me just quickly summarize all the points that I've got. Dr. Shivaji, she has been mentioning that every fourth kid is hungry in India, and the reports substantiate that. And entire food in this country that we eat is under serious threat. And not a single farmer who did organic farming has ever committed suicide. So she has mentioned all of these points in her show today. I urge all the listeners to listen to this show. And also she mentioned in India, more than the citizen democracy, we need food democracy. And Vandana Shivaji and Navdanya team will be launching a campaign on seed sovereignty and food sovereignty very soon. And I urge all the listeners around the world to get involved in whatever way possible in this efforts that they put in. Also, she mentioned that cotton is totally controlled by Monsanto, and now BT brinjal is being brought in to our country, which she says is really insane. And the results of this globalized corporate agriculture that we are practicing in India is the main cause for generations to come. That will be the main reason for obesity and hunger. And those are some of the key important things that she mentioned. And because we are wrapping up in a minute, Srihari Garu, you've been part of the Save Farmers effort, and also facebook.com/Save Farmers is an excellent platform wherein I see at least 500 to 600 people coming on one platform and then discussing about farmers' issues on a regular basis, which eventually triggered having shows with P. Sainath and Ramanjivi and Vandana Shivaji. Can you highlight on what are the recommendations that Save Farmers team has done that will impact in the central level, that means at the national level, and let's take an example of Andhra Pradesh in a state level. Can you quickly let our listeners know on Save Farmers what you basically think are the policies in the national level and at the state level that needs to be changed?
We put together. If we need just one document, I think Swaminathan Commission report, fourth report, is a very good one. So it has been on government's desk for the last 4 years, and nobody is even opening it to read what's in there. But that's the best recommendation there is. But to break it down a little bit, suppose government talks about the support price for the farmers. Basically, it says if you cannot sell it outside in the open market, you can sell it to me, and we will give you whatever the price. This price, first of all, if you take the example of paddy, it's highly monopolized by the government itself, because government is the biggest buyer of the rice, and they need to do that because of all the programs that they have. Now, the support price they are giving is like 1,100, sometimes it's 1,000 per bag of rice, and that is much less than, depending on where you are in the country, that is much less than how much it will take to produce. Same with the sugar cane, same with the cotton, and most of these crops, they don't even have any support price. The support price, whatever government is saying, we are saying that it should be based on the cost, not just the cost of production, but also cost of living in that area. The cost plus 50% should be the support price. It should not be less than the cost. Basically, that's one of the things. Then we are talking about the 100-day work guarantee program that we talked before. They are saying the agriculture should be included in that. Then we are talking about having agri-clinics. Agri-clinics, I think, is most necessary, because that will form a support structure for the farmers. Those are the places where farmers can go and rent the equipment, and then they can return it. All the modern equipment like tractors or whatever they need. And that is where the government or the NGOs can communicate to the farmers, saying what they should grow based on the soil testing and the weather forecast. And that's where they can say, hey, your crop is, if you go to that market, you will get more price. Basically, telling about the distribution. So all these issues can be, resolved by proper communication. So agri-clinics is a very vital thing. So we have about 15 of these kind of recommendations. So to know more about this, to participate more, go to facebook.com/savefarmers and leave a message. we definitely get back in less than a day.
Excellent, excellent. So around the world, listeners around the world, this is NRI Samay, friends, and you have any recommendations, you have a fantastic story, you have something, some fair, good points that you want to add, kindly like us on facebook.com/NRI Samay, and we have events coming, shows coming in next week as well. We have MV Ramana Garu. We'll talk about a very critical point that's actually bogging many people's mind about how this nuclear power, nuclear reactors in our country will have impact in future. We have already seen the Fukushima reactors that blew up because of tsunami in Japan. So it's a very nice initiative taken by NRI Samay to bring in the perspective of what kind of realities we need to know about this nuclear power and nuclear reactors that we have in our country. And Dr. M.V. Ramana Garu, he'll be gracing the show next Sunday, which is February 12th. And on February 19th, we have Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan, the Lok Satta, the founder of Lok Satta Andolan and the Lok Satta party in Andhra Pradesh. It's a national party right now. So he'll be gracing the show on February 19th. And because today is a show relevant to farmers, he's been saying that the support price the farmers that they're getting for the crop is ridiculous in Andhra Pradesh. So on 17th, he's taking up a movement wherein he will walk all the way from Emmiganur in Andhra Pradesh, starting from Emmiganur, covering Mantralayam, and then he will cross the border to Karnataka because Karnataka is giving a better price of 950 rupees, close to 950 rupees. He will be crossing the borders by violating the rules and regulations that are basically killing the farmers, and then he'll be selling the crop outside Andhra Pradesh. It's a big movement that he has taken up. So he will be on the show on February 19th. And on February 26th, we have Dr. Swami, Subramanian Swami, the crusader against the 2G spectrum scam, the largest scam that our country has ever witnessed. And the government exchequer loss, as per the COG, is more than 1.76 lakh crore rupees, which is close to $40 billion. So insane amount of money. So Dr. Swami will unveil, he will put forth all the details, all the necessary things that he has taken on his part to bring this to light to the citizens of the country. So around the world, friends, this is NRI Samay, and please do log into www.nrisamay.com every Sunday, 8 o'clock, and a fantastic show is guaranteed to all our listeners around the world. So whether it's anti-corruption, farmers issue, nuclear plants, we'll be bringing you all the latest happenings around the world, in India as well, to you, friends. So like us on facebook.com/NRISamay. We want to wrap up this show today. Thank you, Sri Hari Garu. Thank you, Anant Halvi. Thank you, Milinji. Excellent inputs, fantastic thought process today. And we had an excellent show with Vandana Shivaji. Special thanks from NRI Samay to Vandana Shivaji, sparing her time to bring up all the realities of the farming sector. And we hope to listen from you. We hope to hear from you. Please send in your feedback. You can go to nrisamay.com. On the top, you see in the right top corner, you can click on that and then send us the feedback. Thank you very much, friends, and stay tuned next week. Thank you.
This is your host, Anant Halvi, thanking you for listening to us. As Srikant said, please go to our website at nrisamay.com and contact us if you need any information. Please, you can always listen to all our archived shows by clicking on the iTunes button. You can download the archived shows as podcasts and basically listen to them as podcasts whenever you want, and on your smartphones, iPads, and iPhones. Thank you once again for tuning in this morning. I hope you guys have the good rest of the weekend. Thank you very much.